Bruce, you must have something really good too.
Of course I do. It's Bruce Danielson, and I guess I'm here to entertain you too.
All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Tuesday, June 21, Sioux Falls City Council meeting. Thanks for joining us tonight. We'll go ahead and get started by reading our roll, please.
Council members Selberg. Here. Sale.
Here.
Starr. Here. Barranco.
Here.
Cole.
Here.
Jensen.
Here.
McCorus. Neitzer.
Here. All right, we have Karen Schwabach with us from the Direct Line Prayer Center to give our invocation. Thank you, Karen, for being here. I'd ask that you stand for her invocation and then stay standing for our Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Thank you. Let's pray. Father God, thank you that you are our refuge and strength. I thank you for our mayor and council members, for their willingness to serve. I ask your continued blessings upon them and their households, that they will be guided by your Spirit to know your heart and your mind in each situation, that they will uphold biblical values in every decision they make. Let your kingdom come, let your perfect will be done in these meetings and in our community as it is in heaven. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you, Karen, for the invocation. We'll move on to our consent agenda approval. Item 4, look for a motion or changes there.
Move approval, Jensen. Second.
All right, motion by Jensen, seconded by Selberg. Any discussion there, council? All right, let's vote on that, please.
Council members Selberg.
Yes.
Sale.
Yes.
Starr.
Yes.
Barranco.
Yes.
Cole.
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Neitzer.
Yes.
All right, that passes 7-0. We'll skip ahead to item 24, regular agenda. Look for a motion there.
Move approval. Second, Jensen.
All right, motion by Selberg, seconded by Jensen. Any discussion there? All right, let's vote on that one, please.
Council members Selberg.
Yes.
Sale.
Yes.
Starr.
Yes.
Barranco.
Yes.
Cole.
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Neitzer.
Yes.
All right, that passes 7-0 as well. Before we move on with our agenda, just want to remind everyone how public input will work for our agenda items. For regular agenda items, comments are limited to 3 minutes unless the item is being presented for final adoption, in which case public input is limited to 5 minutes. For all regular agenda items, comments are limited to the agenda item under consideration at that time only. With that being said, we'll move on to our next item.
Item 25, new 2022-23 retail malt beverage South Dakota farm wine license for Black LLC Escapades, 3313 Southwestern Avenue, CUP not required, pending final inspections for health and building services. Item 26, new 2022-23 retail malt beverage South Dakota farm wine license for Golden Coin Casino Incorporated, High Roller Casino 2, 4101 West 57th Street, Suite 101, CUP not required, pending final inspections for health and building services. Item 27, request to add video lottery terminals with the new 2022-23 retail malt beverage South Dakota farm wine license for Golden Coin Casino Incorporated, High Roller Casino 2, 4101 West 57th Street, Suite 101. Item 28, new 2022 23 retail malt beverage South Dakota farm wine license for Golden Coin Casino Incorporated, High Roller Casino 2, 4101 West 57th Street, Suite 102, CUP not required, pending final inspections per health and building services. Item 29, request to add video lottery terminals with the new 2022-23 retail malt beverage South Dakota farm wine license for Golden Coin Casino Incorporated, High Roller Casino 2, 4101 West 57th Street, Suite 102. Item 30, new 2022-23 retail malt beverage South Dakota farm wine license for Golden Coin Casino Incorporated, High Roller Casino 2, 4101 West 57th Street, Suite 103, CUP not required, pending final inspections for health and building services. Item 31, request to add video lottery terminals with the new 2022-23 retail malt beverage South Dakota farm wine license for Golden Coin Casino Incorporated, High Roller Casino 2, 4101 West 57th Street, Suite 103. Item 32, new 2022-23 retail malt beverage South Dakota farm wine license for Golden Coin Casino Incorporated, High Roller Casino 2, 4101 West 57th Street, Suite 104, CUP not required, pending final inspections per Health and Building Services. Item 33, request to add video lottery terminals with the new 2022-23 retail malt beverage South Dakota farm wine license for Golden Coin Casino Incorporated, High Roller Casino 2, 4101 West 57th Street, Suite 104. Item 34, new 2022-23 retail malt beverage South Dakota farm wine license for MG Oil Company, Corner Pantry, 31, 2505 West Russell Street, CUP not required, addition to existing license. Item 35, request to add video lottery terminals with the new 2022-23 retail malt beverage South Dakota farm wine license for MG Oil, Corner Pantry, 31, 2505 West Russell Street. Item 36, transfer of 2022 retail liquor license, including video lottery terminals from SRS Incorporated, Papa Doc's Pub, 2808 South Minnesota Avenue to Access Entertainment Group, LLC, 2808 South Minnesota Avenue. Item 37, transfer of 2022 retail liquor license, including video lottery terminals from Smokehouse Partners Incorporated, Cody Smokehouse, 6401 South Louise Avenue to KTC SF, LLC, 6401 South Louise Avenue, pending final inspections per Health. Item 38, transfer of 2022 retail wine and cider license and transfer of 2021-22 retail malt beverage South Dakota farm wine license from Martha Faye Hagir Ethiopian Restaurant, 2113 South Minnesota Avenue, to Janae Lake and Rosa Zanasi Hagir Ethiopian Restaurant, 2113 South Minnesota Avenue. Item 39, renewal of 2022-23 retail malt beverage South Dakota farm wine license for Hagir Ethiopian Restaurant, 2113 South Minnesota Avenue. Item 40, special one-day malt beverage and special one-day wine licenses for Holy Spirit Church, 3601 East Dudley Lane for a church event on July 9th, 2022. Item 41, special one-day liquor licenses for Philanthropy Promotions Incorporated to be operated at J&L Harley Davidson, 2601 West 60th Street North for a fundraiser on July 15th and 16th, 2022. Item 42, special one-day liquor license for Zoological Society of Sioux Falls to be operated at Great Plains Zoo and Delbridge Museum, 805 South Kiwanis Avenue for a fundraiser on July 28th, 2022. Item 43, special one-day liquor license for Catholic Community Foundation for Eastern South Dakota to be operated at Avera IT, 212 East 11th Street for a fundraiser on August 6, 2022. And item 44, special one-day liquor licenses for Great Bear Management Incorporated, 5901 East Rice Street for weddings on July 29th, 30th, August 27th, September 24th, October 1st, 8th, 15th, and November 5th, 2022.
All right, a lot of them. Stacy, you're filling in for Jamie tonight.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. She is out, but there are a couple actions that she has requested. The first relates to agenda item number 25, and that per the applicant's request, they were asking that that be withdrawn. And agenda item 36 is basically cleaning up the name. They would ask that you strike entertainment and insert retail, such that the business would read Access Retail Group, LLC.
All right. Anyone from the public here to speak on any of these items tonight? All right, Council, you have any questions for Attorney Koister on any of these? Counselor Jensen? No?
I'd like to make a motion to withdraw item 25.
Second, Sale.
All right. Per the applicant's request, motion to withdraw 25 by Jensen, seconded by Sale. Any discussion there? All right, let's vote on that, please.
Councilmember Selberg.
Yes.
Sale.
Yes.
Starr.
Yes.
Baranco.
Yes.
Cole.
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Neitzer.
Yes.
All right, that passes 7-0. Back to well, we don't have a motion.
I'd make a motion to approve items 26 through 44.
Second, Sale.
All right, motion to approve items 26 through 44. Motion by Jensen, seconded by Sale.
Mr. Mayor,
Counselor Jensen, go
I'd
ahead.
make a motion to amend item 36 by striking entertainment and inserting retail.
Second,
All
Sale.
right, motion by Jensen, seconded by Sale on that amendment. Any discussion on the amendment? All right, let's vote on that, please.
Councilmember Selberg.
Yes.
Sale.
Yes.
Starr.
Yes.
Baranco.
Yes.
Cole.
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Neitzer.
Yes.
All right, that passes 7-0, so we're back to the main motion as amended. Is there further discussion on any of these? All right, let's vote on the main motion as amended then.
Councilmember Selberg.
Yes.
Sale.
Yes.
Star.
Yes.
Baranco.
Yes.
Cole.
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Neitzer.
Yes.
All right, that passes 7-0. Next item, please.
Next item, item 45, second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, approving a grant of permanent easement, private applicant, Northern States Power Company.
Good evening, Mark.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. The exhibit that's in front of you, if you can discern, there's an orange segment that's an existing electric easement. The yellow segments, they would be new easements granted with your support. The one across the levee in Skunk Creek is an existing overhead line, and then the east-west segment will be a new electric line, and then ultimately be additional feed going into the south, and we would ask for your support.
All right, thanks, Mark. Anyone from the public want to speak on item 45 here? Come on up. Good evening.
Good evening. Chester DeYoung, Sioux Falls. You're dealing with an easement here, and I live out at 4908 East Grant Street. We have 390 feet of sewer easement with existing sewer main underneath my property. The city has no easement for. And they want to turn around and say, oh, I got to give it back to them. You're dealing with an easement here in order to deal with something coming up. And yet you've got a problem. The city vacated the easement, and yet they don't want to even address the issue. I think that's an issue the city of Sioux Falls needs to address and do it quickly. Please. Thank you.
Anyone else here to speak on this tonight? All right, council, any questions here?
Move approval. Second, Jensen.
Motion by Selberg, seconded by Jensen. Any discussion there? All right, let's vote, please.
Councilmember Selberg.
Yes.
Sale.
Yes.
Star.
Yes.
Baranco.
Yes.
Cole.
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Neitzer.
Yes.
All right, that passes 7-0. Next item.
Item 46, second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, providing supplemental appropriations for Parks and Recreation. Parks and Recreation, $137,000. Sponsors the mayor.
Don, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. Don Kearney with Parks and Rec. Sorry. I don't need that for this one. Thanks. Albert's always so helpful. Tonight's item is the supplemental appropriation for $137,000 that would allow us to move forward with the two professional services agreement that we talked about at the informational last week. One is for Pros Consulting to help us with the community engagement process, and the other one is with BWF on the naming rights study. $100,000 would be supplementary appropriated into our sales and use tax fund for the Pros Consulting contract, and then the general fund for $137,000, of which the balance will be paid for by the city. So glad to answer any questions you might have.
Thanks, Don. Anyone from the public wish to speak on item 46 here tonight? Council, you got any questions for Don on this item? Councilor Neitzer, go ahead.
Did you indicate the first one would be coming out of the sales and use tax fund? Can you
Correct.
explain why that fund and not operating?
Yeah, it's considered a capital project because of the, it's intended to replace capital improvements. And so that's the difference between the two, whereas the other one's just more about naming rights and not necessarily about a capital improvement project.
Got it, okay.
Other questions for Don here? All right, look for a motion.
I'll make
Do you have a question?
I'll make a motion to.
Okay.
Second Cole.
Okay, motion by Sale, seconded by Cole. Any discussion on that then? All right, hearing none, let's take a vote, please.
Councilmember Selberg.
Yes.
Sale.
Yes.
Star.
Yes.
Baranco.
Yes.
Cole.
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Neitzer.
Yes.
All right, that's going to pass 7-0. Next item, please.
Item 47, first reading, an ordinance amending the 2002 revised joint zoning ordinance for Minnehaha County and the City of Sioux Falls by amending certain property and text within the Laurel Ridge Planned Development District. The County Planning Commission recommends approval 4-1 of rezoning the remaining portion of Lot B from A1 Agricultural to Sub-Area A of the Laurel Ridge Planned Development District, and an exception to the hours of operations for New Year's to continue to 12:59 a.m. The City Planning Commission recommends approval 4-0 of rezoning the remaining portion of Lot B from A1 Agricultural to Sub-Area A of the Laurel Ridge Planned Development District, and an exception to the hours of operation for New Year's to continue to 1 a.m. Recommendation, set a date of second reading for the joint Sioux Falls City Council Minnehaha County Commission meeting of Tuesday, June 28th, 2022. Private applicant Tyler Childress.
Good evening.
Good evening, Fletcher Lakehawk, urban planner with Planning and Development Services. This item is first reading. It comes from the joint jurisdiction with Minnehaha County and the city of Sioux Falls. The applicant is Tyler Childress, and what they're asking for is rezoning the property, the east half of the property with the word "from" that's over it to the Laurel Ridge subdivision zoning district, and then also to do the exception to the hours of operation. The City Planning Commission's recommendation was that the hours of operation be amended for New Year's Eve to continue to 1 a.m. The County Planning Commission went with a different route and recommended to continue to 12:59. I think it was just some one-upmanship there, but our recommendation is that this be set for second reading next Tuesday, June 28th. Are there any questions for staff?
I'll get back to you, Fletcher. Anyone from the public first who wants to speak on this item tonight? All right, seeing none. Any questions for Fletcher here on this? Counselor Starr?
Yes, Fletcher, what's going on? What are they trying to accomplish? What are we doing? I mean, it's confusing enough.
Oh, well, this
I
is
mean,
a
what's
property.
the applicant want to do?
Sorry. This property is approved for a wedding barn, and that's the building in white on the larger property. They have been back before the City Planning Commission to allow a second wedding barn on the property, which didn't work out. They were looking to get a little more variety in the uses that are allowed on this property, and the Planning Commissions didn't agree with that because it was going to allow too many commercial uses in this area. The city's Planning Commission looked at it and said, hey, we've got other wedding barn facilities that are open till 1 a.m. on New Year's Eve. And so to try to help the applicant as much as possible, they made that recommendation to allow the change.
How many people are on the City Planning Commission?
I believe it's 9
9?
members.
How do we pass something with 4 people, especially when they're not necessarily in agreement with what we're doing in the joint jurisdiction area? I mean, where were the other 5?
There's a minimum required for quorum, and sometimes the people or the Planning Commission doesn't, they have other things that they have to go to, so I try to get as just quorum to show up.
4 out of 9's a quorum?
Typically it's 5.
So how did this pass then, 4-0, if they didn't have a quorum?
It was 1 vote to deny. Or it should, I'll have to check the minutes, but that should have been 5-0.
You want to speak to this, Albert or Jeff? Do you know? You want to speak to that quorum question?
Hello, Albert Schmidt, Planning and Development Services. So at those meetings, like Fletcher talked about, the 5's minimum. We also have the chair there included in that 5, but typically the chair does not vote at those ones. That's why you have the 4.
Thank you.
All right. Other questions for Fletcher on this item tonight? Counselor Jensen, go ahead.
I'd make a motion to set a second reading for the joint Sioux Falls City Council Minnehaha County Commission meeting of Tuesday, June 28th, 2022.
Second. Sale.
All right, motion by Jensen and seconded by Sale. Discussion on that motion? All right, let's vote, please.
Councilmember Selberg,
Yes.
Sale,
Yes.
Starr,
Yes.
Barranco,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Neitzer.
Yes.
All right, that passes 7-0. Item 48, please.
Item 48, first reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the Code of Ordinances of the city by amending Chapter 37, Taxation. Recommendation, set a date of second reading for Tuesday, July 5th, 2022. Sponsors the mayor.
Sean.
Good evening. Sean Pritchard, Director of Finance. Before you this evening is a revision to the Experience Sioux Falls bid ordinance. This was presented at informational 2 weeks ago, so I'm going to cover this fairly quickly and then open it up. There's a couple additional pieces of information that I'll provide to you, and then I'll open it up for questions. So just a quick reiteration of what the Experience Sioux Falls bid is. It began about 11 years ago. It relates to any hotel with 40 or more rooms. It's a $2 per night occupational tax that's administered and collected by the city of Sioux Falls and transferred to the CVB for the purposes of promoting and marketing the community. And generates about $2 million a year. I'm not going to go through all the bullet points. We did cover these at the informational, but just to give you a few of those highlights, it does modify the name for the revised name for the CVB as Experience Sioux Falls and recognizes them as an independent corporate entity. It also allows for potentially electronic submission and certification of those bid occupational tax returns that are provided by each of the hoteliers. One of the more significant changes relates to the bid board, makeup of that board. It doesn't change the representation across the different categories of the hotels, but it does allow more than one interested party from one ownership group. And so that's been a challenge in terms of filling these positions in the past, especially as you see more consolidation in the industry or joint ownership. And so it would allow two, but it certainly wouldn't be an overwhelming number given the entire board here. It also clarifies that board members can serve two full consecutive terms in addition to any interim term or partial term they may be fulfilling. It does eliminate the requirement for being a registered voter in the city of Sioux Falls if you're representing a hotel, but you have to have a management or ownership interest in a hotel in the community. It does make changes. One of the more significant is to the late fees. So right now we charge a 10% late fee for anybody that doesn't pay within the prescribed timeline and remit the funds to the city so that they can be remitted to the CVB. When that occurs, Experience Sioux Falls is really helpful to the city in helping to follow up and to try to help collect on our behalf for those hotels because they do have a close relationship with each of them. However, the current ordinance prescribes a $200 per day penalty in addition to the 10% late fee, which is onerous and really hadn't been applied in the past. The new ordinance changes this to a $200 per month fee so that there is a penalty if a hotel decides to continue not to comply in addition to the one-time 10% late fee. So one thing I did fail to mention in the previous presentation is that one of the changes, although very minor, is that the city retains a 1% of the tax for administrative purposes for collecting and remitting the tax, and that includes the late fee, but we don't keep the late fee. As far as the $200 administrative collection fee going forward, the city, if it does assess that, will keep that for virtue of the additional work we're doing to collect those funds. The other, following up on a question from Councilor Starr that we had at the informational presentation in terms of the hearing process, if they disagree with an administrative decision related to that. So that would follow, since it's not specifically called out as a special appeal process, then it follows general appeals of 30.040 with a hearing examiner being appointed, similar to any other administrative action taken by the city. We have first reading this evening, and then we have second reading on July 5th. We do have Terry Schmidt from the Experience Sioux Falls, as well as Jeff Griffin from the Chamber of Commerce here, available to answer any additional questions you might have also. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Sean. Anyone from the public here to speak on this item tonight? Council, do you have any questions for Sean here? Councilor Nitzert and Councilor Starr?
Director Pritchett, first question, as far as the late fee goes, did you consider just saying 3% of the outstanding balance per month, for example, instead of the $200? And I don't know like what kind of arrears people would get into, but a little over like $6,000 would be $200 a month. I mean, would they be carrying, $75,000 in arrears? I don't know how much is being remitted, each month,
it's typically not that much. So, it might be a couple $1,000s per hotel per month. And so, as we talked about at the informational, we only had one in my experience that became very delinquent early on when I started and had been delinquent, and it was a change of ownership situation anyway. And they were more in that, I think, $50,000 range, which we did cure. But typically, they're not that much behind. And so, $200 per month at least provides some sort of incentive for them to make payment if they're avoiding that. The other thing I would point out is that it's still an ordinance, so it still retains the right that if it's a Class 2 misdemeanor, if you continue not to comply with the ordinance, you do have judicial options as well. And then finally, we also have the options to withhold licensing from that entity. So say they have a beer or wine license or a pool inspection or a health, there are various other channels that we have to enforce it. For the most part, most of our hotel establishments have been very good about paying on a timely basis.
Okay, that makes sense. I was just thinking if you do have any that get, severely in arrears, I mean, $200, that may or may not hurt a whole lot, but
Yep.
and then the only thing that's more of a comment, we're gonna strike, and I agree with it, the list enumerating hotels out of there because that can change.
Yes, yeah.
The only thing, and I don't know if the CVB, maybe they have it like in an annual report, but I was just thinking, looking at the numbers and like when our budget people are looking at it, maybe like in the ACFR would maybe be a good place and kind of the narrative in the beginning. If it was even just something like, there are X number of hotels in the city subject to the bid tax and there's 7,000 rooms, an increase of 100 over last year, just so there's some context to when you're looking at that whole number, so you can see like, how much are we getting per room and things like that. It could even just a simple little paragraph, and I was thinking, if anywhere, maybe the ACFR, if we were gonna.
Or even in the budget, if there's a place that we could call it out.
Yeah.
Because it's part of the plan.
I mean, an annual call out was probably sufficient. We probably don't need to know on a monthly basis, but just a thought.
Yep, and definitely, and each year they come before the council here in, would be September to bring forward their budget for approval. So that'd be a great time to kind of bring that off as well.
Counselor Starr?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for getting an answer to my question. And now I remembered the other question that I had asked and was more of a policy question about taking it. Can you flip back so that I, basically we're allowing someone who's not a registered voter or a citizen of the city of Sioux Falls. And I know you're not going to know this off the top of your head, but I don't think we have any other board that allows that.
I don't know off the top of my head, but I don't know that every city board requires residency either. I'm thinking of like the event center board. I'm not sure. We just revised that ordinance and I don't recall there being a residency requirement.
I remember a discussion that we had at one point that we had talked about other people who aren't citizens of the city or they're citizens of the city, they reside within the city, but they're not a U.S. citizen, whether they're in the medical community or in the financial services community, that we're not using their expertise or they don't feel like they're a big part of the community, but they're not. And we kind of, from a policy standpoint, said we didn't want to move forward that way. And this is kind of a big in the weeds policy decision of, are we opening up boards and commissions to non-residents of the city and non-registered voters in the city? So it's something I'll take a look over the next week and figure out. So
yeah, I think the intent here is that we have people that are subject to the tax that would be prohibited from being represented. So if I'm a hotel owner that happens to live in Brandon, but I own a hotel that's in Sioux Falls that's being taxed, what would prohibit them from being represented on the board and providing the context they can provide. Same thing with the general manager of a hotel who might provide great value to the bid, but doesn't happen to live in the community, but they have a vested interest in the community.
And that's where I think at one time I made the argument that if you live in the city, you pay the tax, but you can't be part of any of the other boards as well. So you probably made a better argument than I did at the time. So thank you.
Good.
Other questions? Counselor Neitzer?
Just, I remember maybe somebody from the Visual Arts Commission reaching out to me on something like that, and maybe there's another board where you maybe have somebody who's, whether it be an immigrant or something in which, they're a valuable person in the community, they have something to offer, but they just don't meet the citizenship requirements. So that was an interesting discussion. Kind of related to that, obviously, this is, I want to say, well, who appoints members to this board? I mean, obviously, I think we have a representation, but I mean, otherwise, is it the board itself that makes the selection?
So you have an ex officio liaison from the council that serves on the board. I serve as the administrative one from the administrative and the mayor's side. All the bid board members are appointed by the mayor and with consent from council.
Okay, all right. So there's a level of common sense that would be, and it would be through the appointment process and then a confirmation. The only place I was going with it is you wouldn't necessarily, it might not be good to have a case where you have, let's say, the guy who's a chief operating officer of a hotel that's in New York and has never set foot in Sioux Falls, but they just happen to have a hotel here being a member of the board. I would assume that's not the vision of what you're going for. It would be like maybe a general manager of a hotel here and he happens to live in Brandon or something like that.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Other questions on this item here?
Move approval. Jensen?
Second call.
All right, motion by Jensen, seconded by Counselor Cole to set a date of second reading for Tuesday, July 5 on this item. Any other discussion? All right, let's vote on that, please.
Councilmember Selberg.
Yes.
Sale.
Yes.
Star.
Yes.
Baranco.
Yes.
Cole.
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Neitzer.
Yes.
All right, that passes 7-0. Item 49.
Item 49, first reading an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property located at 1013 South Sherman Avenue from the RD1 residential duplex and twin home district to the RT2 townhome residential traditional district number 16383-2022 and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval 6-0. Recommendation set a date of second reading for Tuesday, July 5th, 2022. Private applicants, John and Nancy Stratman.
Albert, good evening.
Council, again, Albert Schmidt, City of Sioux Falls Planning and Development Services. Thank you for having me this evening. For this one, this is located at 1013 South Sherman Avenue. Size is approximately 0.13 acres. And again, rezoning from the RD1 to the RT2 district. And that purpose of that is to match the correct zoning with the existing use. So I can take any questions you have.
All right, thank you, sir. Anyone from the public here to speak on 49? Council, any questions for Albert?
Move approval.
Second, Jensen?
All right, motion by Selberg, seconded by Jensen to set a date of second reading for Tuesday, July 5. Any discussion there? All right, let's vote on that, please.
Councilmember Selberg.
Yes.
Sale.
Yes.
Star.
Yes.
Baranco.
Yes.
Cole.
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Neitzer.
Yes.
That passes 7-0. Next item.
Item 50, first reading an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property located south of West Bitterroot Street and east of South Trevoli Place from the RD2 Townhome Residential Suburban District to the O Office District number 16396-2022 and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval 6-0. Recommendation set a date of second reading for Tuesday, July 5th, 2022. Private applicants, Earhart Griffin and Associates, Damian Grable.
This is located at west of Southwestern Avenue and north of West 85th Street, Sioux Falls here. Size of this location is approximately 0.63 acres in size. And again, here it's similar. Purpose is to rezone this portion to combine it with the existing parcel to the north to build a new office building.
All right, thanks, sir. Anyone from the public here to speak on this item tonight? Council, any questions on this one?
Move approval, Jensen?
Second call.
All right, motion by Jensen, seconded by Cole, and that's to set a date of second reading for Tuesday, July 5. Any discussion there? All right, let's vote on that, please.
Councilmember Selberg.
Yes.
Sale.
Yes.
Star.
Yes.
Baranco.
Yes.
Cole.
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Neitzer.
Yes.
All right, that's going to pass 7-0. Next item.
Item 51, first reading an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property located north of West Benson Road and west of Northview Avenue from the C4 Commercial Regional District, the I-1 Light Industrial District, number 16399-2022, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval 6-0. Recommendation set a date of second reading for Tuesday, July 5th, 2022. Private applicant, JSA Consulting Engineers, Land Surveyors Incorporated, Pat Schwabach.
This one is located north of West Benson Road and east of I-29. Size is 3.7 acres, and the purpose here is to construct a contractor shop on site.
All right, thanks, Albert. Anyone here to speak on item 51? Council, any questions here?
Move approval. Sale.
Second call.
All right, motion by Sale, seconded by Cole to set a date of second reading for Tuesday, July 5. Any discussion on that one? All right, let's vote, please.
Councilmember Selberg.
Yes.
Sale.
Yes.
Star.
Yes.
Baranco.
Yes.
Cole.
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Neitzer.
Yes.
That passes 7-0. Item 52.
Item 52, first reading an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property located south of West 41st Street and west of South Ellis Road from the AG Agriculture District to the RA3 Apartment Residential High Density and C3 Commercial Community Districts, number 16441-2022, and amending the official zoning map of the city of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval 6-0. Recommendation set a date of second reading for Tuesday, July 5th, 2022. Sponsors the mayor.
This location is at the southwest corner of West 41st Street and South Ellis Road in Sioux Falls. The size is approximately 30 acres, and the purpose here is to construct commercial, office, and multifamily residential development at this location.
All right, thank you, sir. Anyone from the public here to speak on item 52? Council, do you have any questions on this one?
Move approval?
Second call.
Motion by Selberg, second by Cole to set a date of second reading for Tuesday, July 5. Any discussion on that? All right, let's vote, please.
Councilmember Selberg,
Yes.
Sale,
Yes.
Starr,
Yes.
Baranco,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Neitzert.
Yes.
That passes 7-0. Item 53.
Item 53, first reading, an ordinance of the city of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property located at 5001 East Madison Street from the RS Single Family Residential Suburban District to the RD1 Twin Home Duplex Residential Suburban District, number 16436-2022, and amending the official zoning map of the city of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval 6-0. Recommendation set a date of second reading for Tuesday, July 5th, 2022. Private applicant John Nordley.
And for the final rezoning this evening, this location is at 5001 East Madison Street in Sioux Falls. Size is approximately 1.3 acres in size, and the purpose here is to construct 4 new twin homes on the east side of the property that's adjacent to Dubuque Avenue.
All right, thank you, sir. Anyone from the public here to speak on this item tonight? Council, any questions here?
Move to set a second reading for Tuesday, July 5th, 2022. Neitzert?
Second call.
All right, motion by Neitzert, second by Cole. Any discussion on that motion? All right, let's vote on that, please.
Councilmember Selberg,
Yes.
Sale,
Yes.
Starr,
Yes.
Baranco,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Neitzert.
Yes.
That passes 7-0. Item 54.
Item 54, first reading, an ordinance to the city of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, approving the naming of interior rooms on public property. Recommendation set a date of second reading for Tuesday, July 5th, 2022. Sponsors the mayor.
Good evening, Jeff.
Jeff Eckhoff, Planning and Development Services. This is excuse me, first reading to rename for the naming committee, excuse me. The committee met on Friday, June 10th, to look at a application from Startup Sioux Falls to name 2 of their internal rooms in the facility that they're renovating on 6th and Phillips. As we know, Market Beat has been the primary, and Matt Pulse has been the primary sponsor for that renovation. So there's 2 requests here. One is to do what's called the Market Beat Theater, which would be on the north end of the building. And the second one would be for Homegrown Capital Room, which would be more in the middle. Homegrown Capital is Matt's venture capital fund. And so Brianne Maynor and Sarah Lum are both here from Startup Sioux Falls if you have further questions.
All right, thank you, sir. Anyone from the public here to speak on this item tonight? Council, got any questions for Jeff here? Councilor Neitzert?
Yeah, I don't know that the resolution, or excuse me, the ordinance specified, so just out of curiosity, revenue, who actually gets the revenue? You know, is there money attached to this? Does it go to the Startup Sioux Falls? How does that work?
I'll let Brianne speak to that.
Okay.
Good evening, Brian Maynor, Executive Director of Startup Sioux Falls, and yes, there is revenue attached. So we are being awarded $1 million from Market Beat, $700,000 of which is going towards the construction fees, and $300,000 of which we're going to see over the next 5 years as part of our programmatic and our operational budget.
For these 2, is, I assume, is there some sort of time attached to this?
Yes.
That there's exclusive rights, and how long is that?
Correct. So there's a gifting agreement attached to this. And with the naming rights, it's in tandem with the lease that we have with the city. So 5 years with an option to renew for an additional 5.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yep.
Other questions on this one? Councilor Selberg?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So if they renew that option in 5 years, the cost is, okay. Okay. So if somebody else wants to name it something else and they can't, okay, I'll check. Thank you.
Counselor Starr?
All right, I'm confused by that, so Director, take me through. Well, if it's tied to the 5 years, and then if the lease doesn't renew, what happens to the naming rights? It's a smaller sponsorship or a more expensive sponsorship?
There's a contingency inside of the gifting agreement, and if you need to review that, I'm happy to share that with you.
It's attached, isn't it? I should
It
be able
should
to
be.
pull it up.
It should be.
I'll just pull it up. I'm good.
Yep.
Thanks.
Other questions? All right, is there a motion to be made to set a?
Second, Jensen.
All right, that motion by Sale, seconded by Jensen, to set a date of second reading for July 5th. Any discussion there? All right, let's vote on that, please.
Councilmember Selberg.
Yes.
Sale.
Yes.
Starr.
Yes.
Baranco.
Yes.
Cole.
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Neitzer.
Yes.
All right, that passes 7-0. Item 55, please.
Item 55, a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into Amendment 2 to Golf Facilities Management Agreement between the City of Sioux Falls and Landscapes Golf Management LLC, sponsors the mayor.
Mr. Mayor,
Counselor Neitzer.
because I have an immediate family member who works for Landscapes Unlimited, I need to recuse myself from this item.
All right, you are recused. Don, good evening.
Evening. As we talked at the informational, I just wanted to kind of go over a little bit of the background and purpose behind this amendment with Landscapes Golf Management. Back in April, the council amended changes to their liquor licensing ordinances and adopted state guidelines allowing the city to issue liquor licenses to its city golf courses. And then back in May, council passed a resolution to allow the city to set aside 2 liquor licenses for our courses. And then now we just are working to amend the agreement with Landscapes to recognize the ownership of the liquor licenses by the city's golf course manager. As I mentioned last week, beer and wine is already addressed in their current contract, but liquor is not. And so that's what this amendment seeks to accomplish. Some of the benefits of this, certainly from Justin's perspective, managing the courses, is that they get quite a few requests for this service for their tournaments and events. Obviously puts us at a disadvantage because obviously they move to a different course or a different venue. It also improves the profitability of our courses, which can be used for operational and capital costs, reduces the risk that the city may have to subsidize golf course operations in the future, and it diversifies our revenue streams. As it relates to changes to the agreement, I'll just kind of hit some of the key points. Separate liquor license will be held by Landscapes for both Elmwood and Prairie Green. The license will be acquired at the same cost as private applicants would pay, and it would be funded through Landscapes' operating account for the courses. And then despite the purchase of these licenses, the projection is it will still have ample reserves for capital improvements and for cash reserves. All licenses will be held in Landscapes' name, and at the end of this agreement, the Landscapes must transfer the licenses at no cost to the city or the succeeding manager of the golf courses in the event that it's not Landscapes. As it relates to financial reporting, there's the liquor licenses as defined as another asset for the purposes of financial reporting, and then similar to other capital expenditures, the acquisition costs and any book market value adjustments of the liquor licenses are excluded from calculating incentive management fees. And for maybe some of the new city council members, the calculation for incentive fees for Landscapes is $75,000 on an annual basis. They get a management fee, and then they also get 11% of any net operating income as a result of course operations. And there is another also definition that the annual renewal cost for liquor licenses would be treated like an operating expense. So we were at the informational last week. The park board also looked at this last week and unanimously recommended approval of the resolution to you and the amendment. Obviously, we're here before you tonight, and then subject to your approval of the liquor licenses applications that Landscapes would submit. They anticipate being able to put it to use approximately September 1st of 2022. So with that, Justin Arlt is also with us. He's our market manager for Sioux Falls Golf, and I'm glad to take any questions.
All right, thanks, Don. Anyone from the public who would like to speak on item 55 here? Counselor, any questions for Don or Justin? Counselor Selberg?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Have any numbers been run or studies kind of been done, just kind of what the potential this could mean revenue-wise, both for landscapes and the city making this move?
Yeah, we asked Landscapes to do that, and I think I'll have Justin answer that question for you.
Okay, thank you.
Justin Earl with Landscapes Golf Management, Sioux Falls Golf, Prairie Green, Keene Park, and Elmwood. To answer your question, conservatively, we feel like to recoup each of the licenses at each golf course will take 3 to 5 years conservatively to recoup that investment. And then after that, obviously, we see it'll pay dividends and help.
Okay, thank you.
Should help your game though, Counselor.
Could use it.
Other questions tonight?
Move to approve sale.
Second, Jensen.
All right, motion by Sale, seconded by Jensen. Discussion on this, council? All right, hearing none, let's vote on it, please.
Councilmember Selberg,
Yes.
Sale,
Yes.
Starr,
Yes.
Baranco,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
All right, that's going to pass 6-0. We'll let Counselor Neitzer roll back, and we'll move on to item 56, please.
Item 56, a resolution determining it advisable to the best interests of the public to gratuitously convey without payment certain real property owned by the city. Sponsor is the mayor.
Jeff.
Good evening, Jeff Eckhoff, Planning and Development Services. This was referenced this afternoon in the informational when we gave the housing update. This is the first step to conveying, it's a 0.8 acre site to the Southeast Development Foundation to move 3 houses onto. The map that you see is adjacent to the site for the Veterans Community Project Tiny Home project. It's actually the land we originally acquired for that until we needed a larger parcel. Willow Street on the east side is a street that the city is paid to improve and to get the site ready, and this allows us to use the rest of that land. Because we want to gift it to Southeast Development Foundation at no cost, in order to comply with South Dakota Law 6.5, we have to declare it as that we're giving it to a nonprofit for public, charitable, humanitarian purposes. And that's what this resolution does tonight. And then in July, we'll bring forward the gifting agreement to surplus the property. So that'll happen in July. But this is the first step, is an extra step because of the no cost.
All right.
And Lynn Keller Forbes is here if you have any questions about the project.
Great, thanks, Jeff.
Thanks.
Anyone from the public here to speak on item 56? Council, you have questions for Jeff or for Lynn on this?
Move approval, sale.
Second call.
All right, motion by Sale, seconded by Counselor Cole. Any discussion on that? Counselor Sale, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to thank the city administration for working with their partners to address the needs that we have in housing.
All right, thank you, sir. Any other discussion on this item? All right, let's vote on that, please.
Councilmember Selberg,
Yes.
Sale,
Yes.
Starr,
Yes.
Baranco,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Neitzer.
Yes.
That passes 7-0. Next item.
Item 57, a resolution of necessity authorizing the commencement of condemnation proceedings for acquisition of real property located in Sioux Falls, South Dakota for public use. Sponsor is the mayor.
I am the sponsor. Who's speaking to this? Stacy? Oh, yeah.
So, yes, this resolution is basically a follow-through on the prior topics that we had previously regarding the condemnations moving forward and for these respective properties, and we would appreciate your support as we look to move forward.
All right, thank you. Anyone from the public here to speak on item 57? Councilors, any questions on this item for the city attorney?
Move approval.
Second,
sale.
Jensen.
All right, motion by Sale, seconded by Jensen. Any discussion there? All right, let's take a vote, please.
Councilmember Selberg,
Yes.
Sale,
Yes.
Starr,
Yes.
Baranco,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Neitzer.
Yes.
Okay, that one passes 7-0. We'll move to item 58, please.
Item 58, a resolution advising and giving consent to the appointment of members to certain citizen boards, those being Marshall Selberg to the Accessible Housing Advisory Board, John Taylor to the Airport Authority Board, Pat Starr to the Board of Museum Trustees, Kathleen Zapita to the Disability Awareness and Accessibility Review Board, and Dick Dempster, Reggie Kuipers, Christy Metzger, Jamie Nold, Tony Noor, Orlin Cheddar to the Event Center Complex Advisory Board, and Sarah Cole to the Experience Sioux Falls Bid Board, and Pat Starr to the Multicultural Center Board.
All right, anyone from the public here to speak on this item tonight? Any of those folks here tonight? All right. Council, any comments or questions on that? Counselor Starr?
Yeah, I do. I wanted to make it clear, it's not the Multicultural Center Board, it's the Multicultural Center. There's an intergovernmental board that oversees the Multicultural Center Board. That didn't make it clearer, did it? It's made up of representatives from the city and the county that oversee the Multicultural Center Board. But I also serve on the Multicultural Center Board and was appointed to the board because that was the one I thought I was getting on. So
Right.
again, I'm glad I could clear that up for you.
Right. All
Move
right.
approval, Jensen.
Second call.
All right. Motion by Jensen, seconded by Counselor Cole. Any other discussion there? All right, let's vote on that one, please.
Councilmember Selberg.
Yes.
Sale.
Yes.
Starr.
Yes.
Barranco.
Yes.
Cole.
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Neitzer.
Yes.
All right, that passes 7-0. We got any new business tonight, council? All right, we'll move to general public input on items we didn't talk about earlier. 3 minutes per person on any topic. So if you have something, come on up.
Chester DeYoung, Sioux Falls. I had my first encounter with Assistant City Engineer Mr. Peppel in late May, early June of 2021. Travis Larson had called a meeting, wanted to visit about opening up Grant Street. To my surprise, Mr. Peppel had invited himself into the meeting. Pleasantries were exchanged, and then we talked about the neighborhood. I had concerns about what was going to happen. Mr. Peppel and Travis received a letter from me, they were 8 pages long, outlining everything as far as my concerns. Mr. Peppel spent less than 2 minutes reviewing my information, proceeded to tell me what he was going to do. I said, wait a second, there's some things you got wrong. He said, no, I got nothing wrong, and this is what I'm going to do, and you have no choice. The meeting was over. My second encounter with Mr. Peppel was a meeting Mr. Berg had called. I was informed who would be present from the city, and I told him who I was bringing. Again, it started with the city's plans to install a gravel surface, which I contend was against the city's ordinance. There were other issues discussed as well. As we neared an hour into the meeting, Mr. Peppel stood up, slammed the desk, and said, you're holding the city project hostage and our everything. I mean, it just don't make sense. Mr. Berg got Mr. Peppel to sit back down, said, oh, there is no project, and we have nothing in the works at all. Guess what? We do, don't we? Something you may not know about me. I was a school bus driver in Sioux Falls for 15 years. I was also an ASA umpire for over 40 years. I know what a bully is. Mr. Peppel is at the top of the list. As a society, we need to be pushing for a kinder, gentler atmosphere in the public and work environment. That type of behavior displayed by Mr. Peppel should not be present in any work environment. Oh, wait. The city of Sioux Falls has enough confidence in this guy to let him go to a city meeting. If I had to rate him as a bully I've encountered, I'd place him in the top 2. He was definitely 5 to 10 times worse than any student I ever transported, but he is an adult and he's had time to refine his skills. I believe the only person he compares to is a coach I had to eject from a fast-pitch game of little girls. This coach actually charged me on the diamond, gave me a Tommy Lasorda belly bump in the middle of the diamond with 30 players and coaches and fans full of stands. You know, in 40 years, he's the only person I ever ejected. We have now passed 1 year since my first encounter with Mr. Peppel, and the city's plans still exist to violate their own rules and standards. It has also been over 6 months since the city installed a crushed asphalt surface on January 3rd of this year, in so doing, violating at least 4 of the city's own standards. They don't allow gravel roads. Any road constructed must be on virgin, unfrozen ground. They have to strip the vegetation and compact it.
Thank
All
you.
were failed. Thank you.
Thank
Have a great
you.
day.
Yeah, you don't have to beat the podium. Thank you. Come on up.
Greetings. I'm David Zokaitis, and I've got two topics tonight. The first one is about digital billboard safety. Now, we've got giant TVs on the side of our roads, and they're good for advertising, but they have a problem in that they can be distracting to drivers. Did a literature search and found that the presence of a digital billboard increases the accident rate. Not what anybody wants to hear, but there's my reference. Not surprising, but the slower that you change these things, the better everybody is. There's another reference. Changing things every 3 seconds, not so safe. 6 seconds, better. Here's the city ordinance. It says, hey, folks, these things are not allowed to change at all. All displays must be static. It's not what we do, though. They don't change. The solution, then, is to update city ordinance so that the ads have to be shown for, a minimum of 6 seconds, and then that will help to keep the roads safer. Topic 2, a problem nobody wants to acknowledge, including myself, is commonplace bribery among city officials. Ugh. So when you accept gifts of travel, then you owe people favors, which means bad government results. Okay, way back in August 2020, the City Ethics Board wrote a letter and said, hey folks, there's a problem. That's the letter, which I don't have time to read. This came up in a city council meeting a little after the letter was received, and hardly anybody voted for increased accountability. Most people pretended that everything was okay. And our mayor could have ordered an investigation, but that did not occur. So my recommendation to the new council is that they use their authority, to handle money to hire a special investigator so that we can figure out how often people accepted this kind of bribe, and then we can get better government as a consequence. I don't really like going around other people, but in this case, because the mayor is uninterested in an investigation, city council can take it upon themselves to hire an investigator. And of course, got to enjoy life a little bit. And here's a view of Falls Park. And after the meeting, if you need a break, there's a place to go. So good evening, everybody.
All right, thanks. Anyone else for public input tonight?
Bruce at Sioux Falls. I got numerous of complaints in Pettigrew when we did a neighborhood walk audit. So I wanted to make it clear that in the letter when they got violated on code enforcement issues, said that Pettigrew Neighborhood Association requested it. Now, the crime has went down in my neighborhood tremendously. I'm fixing to take over Whittier Neighborhood Association, and we're going to clean up that neighborhood and get that crime down with sexual assaults, domestics, the Bishop Dudley, and all that shootings that is going on, and we're going to hold landlords accountable like I did in my neighborhood. If they don't like it, they can sell their houses and get the hell out with their neighborhood like they got the hell out of my neighborhood. We don't have time for criminals to take over a neighborhood. We will do a walk audit in Pettigrew next year. We will hold people accountable to sidewalks, code enforcement, and health department issues. If you can't afford your house and to keep it up, then you need to sell your house. In a couple of weeks, I'm trying to find a replacement for me for Pettigrew, and then I'll get voted in, and then we'll take over Whittier Neighborhood Association. I understand that we have police officers in Whittier Neighborhood, so I'm going to have to knock on their doors as well. But I want everybody in that neighborhood to get involved in that community. So when I clean up that neighborhood, we're going to get the police, we're going to get everybody in that neighborhood, and I'm going after that Bishop Dudley. And we'll clean it up. If my call volumes can go down 1,481 calls for service in a year, then I can surely help clean up Whittier Neighborhood. So all these people on parole and these people on state parole, they have agents. They can come on board and we can clean up those too. When arrest is made on properties, we don't keep the people on that property until the proving goes in the courtroom. So we got properties, the Tazik properties, where the guy shot in the apartment because he was on crack, cocaine. Got 6 charges on him, and they kept him on the property until court procedures on East Ronning Drive. I don't think so. So when they get arrested for these crimes, we need to start doing 3-day and 4-day evictions. If not, then the landlords can sell their properties and they can get out of the neighborhood of Whittier neighborhood. Whittier neighborhood is like looking like Skid Row of California. The neighborhood association is inactive there. So I'm trying to get a replacement for me so I can move into Whittier neighborhood. I can get voted in and we can clean up Whittier neighborhood. So Whittier neighborhood, I'm going to warn them that I'm hell on wheels and that we're going to clean it up and they can get used to it. If not, they can sell their rental properties and they can sell their commercial properties. But I'm coming in that neighborhood very shortly.
All right, thank you. Anyone else for public input tonight? We're going to start the clock. You're on the clock and you got to step up to the mic.
Robert Colby, bear with me. Since I noticed a number of you did not take active part in the Pride activities, I thought that we should all be part and parcel of that. Since you don't often get things given to you, I could at least give you a few things. Each of you can take one of these home and just think of this from this point on as being a participation in the Pride Week. And think of these as Pride Cheerios. I noticed, as I said, a few of you weren't participating this week, but take them home and think of the diversity of our neighborhoods and our community. Thank you.
All right, anyone else tonight? All right, seeing none, I'll just take a motion to adjourn us out. Motion by Jensen, seconded by Sale. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? All right, we're adjourned. Have a good night, everybody.